Mr. Bhutto, first, very nice to see you again here in New York. Last time you were here as Foreign Minister of Pakistan, and this time, National Assembly of Pakistan. Then, can you tell us why you're here this time?
I'm leading Pakistan's delegation post the recent conflict we had with India. As you're aware, India launched unprovoked, illegal and unilateral strikes within Pakistani territory. And while we appreciate the international community's role in achieving that ceasefire, Pakistan believes that peace is only possible. Perpetual peace, lasting peace, is only possible through dialogue and diplomacy.
What do you think of this terrorism thing? You just said you feel it's politicized. It's been politicized. What exactly do you think? What exactly do you think the Pakistani side can deal with the accusation?
You recall the Prime Minister of Pakistan immediately following those attacks offered to the international community, and this is not something that Pakistan was bound to do under international law or under any circumstance, but it's something Pakistan offered. We offered an impartial investigation. Third parties were invited to join any investigation that Pakistan would participate in. It was India that backed away from that offer of an investigation. To this day, it's been almost a month since the war and that terrorist attack, and to this day they have been unable to tell the world who were the terrorists involved in these attacks. Have they managed to not only identify them, but actually apprehend them? Instead, they launched unilateral strikes in Pakistan.
Up till this day, Pakistan is still willing to have an impartial international investigation, which probably can include India delegation on this particular event.
If India were to review its stance, then it would be possible to convince the Prime Minister that such a forum be established, which is neutral, which is impartial, that could look into not only this terrorist attack, but any other terrorist attack. Because as you're aware, Pakistan has a long list of complaints against India's involvements with terrorist attacks in Balochistan and Pakhtunkhwa and through various terrorist groups within Pakistan. And we would like that we have such a forum where we can present each other's case into various terrorist attacks. We can get at the root cause and actually get justice for the victims of terror. And we also form such a body that could preempt sort of future events. Because as I mentioned, heaven forbid, there's another terrorist attack. We don't want that to result in a war between two nuclear-armed countries. So if we are able to establish such a forum, not just for this terrorist attack, but for other terrorist attacks as well, then I think that's absolutely something that Pakistan would not only consider, but would actively want.
One of the things you mentioned about the root cause is the question of Kashmir. How do you think the international community will help solve this issue?
Ultimately, if you want the end to terrorism, then you must address the root causes of terrorism, and that, of course, applies to the issue of Kashmir. Well, thus far, we've all failed. We've collectively failed to address this agenda item. I think this conflict has highlighted that it can't be ignored. It can't be ignored by India. It can't be ignored by the international community. And we must do justice with the people of Kashmir in line with international law. Of course, this is a cause that we will advocate for.
Indus Waters Treaty, what's the current status now? Because we know that India said they're suspending the treaty and stop offering water, and what about now? And are you going to negotiate with India? Have you?
So as far as the Indus Water Treaty is concerned, according to international law, according to the Indus Water Treaty itself, there's no such thing as holding in abeyance. So the treaty is in effect, and India is in violation of this treaty and subsequently in violation of international law. We will continue to advocate for India to abide by international law, by the Indus Water Treaty. Pakistan may have its own issues with the treaty. India may have its issues with the treaty. But we can't unilaterally decide anything. We have to sit together, talk together, and reach a conclusion jointly. And then we can make any changes, if they are to be, to the Indus Water Treaty.
Is that in process?
That's not in process at the moment because they've violated the Indus Water Treaty. But the thing that I want to sort of convey on this is that we can't leave open new wounds. And this is a very dangerous precedent that India has started.
This is very interesting for many of our audience, that this is the conflict that both parties claim victory.
So I think that's a very good observation. This has been a post-fact disinformation age conflict. But I think the very easy answer to who won this war is who's lying to their people. Whose media was lying to their people, whose government was lying to their people during the conflict, after the conflict. It took 1 month for the Indian government to admit that we downed their planes. Why were they hiding this fact from their people? Because the truth is they lost. They lost a kinetic conflict. Pakistan in self-defense, before there was any response from Pakistan's side, as our initial self-defense for their unilateral violation of our sovereignty, we downed 6 Indian jets, and they refused to admit it up until literally yesterday. So there's only one country that has been lying to their people. We've achieved a ceasefire. That's important. I think that's the true victory. The ceasefire is the victory, the kinetic victory, the diplomatic victory. Pakistan has its case, and the media like yourself and others can analyze.
This ceasefire is, I would say, quite fragile, especially in the beginning of the ceasefire. You know, there are accusations of breaching the ceasefire. How are you planning to make this fragile ceasefire to be like what you said, a permanent one?
This is, I think you've phrased it quite well, a fragile ceasefire. In order for this to be a lasting ceasefire, we appeal to the international community to play its role. Because Pakistan has said that they're willing to talk. There's only one country that says they're not willing to talk, and that's India. So obviously that's not a sustainable situation, and therefore it is our effort to engage the international community, for them to play their role to establish peace, which must include resolving the issue of Kashmir, resolving the Indus water dispute that India has now started illegally, and having a proper conversation about terrorism.
So you mentioned a lot of things: the Kashmir question, the Waters Treaty, and also terrorism. If you give the importance to these subjects, which one would be, you think would be the most possible one to solve with India?
I think the most important and the most sort of possible achievement would be for us to start a dialogue.
Okay.
Dialogue and diplomacy has to be the start for us to address any and all issues. So Pakistan is willing to talk with India. We want peace, but peace is not possible, as you say, until we engage in a dialogue. Of course, I believe as we relied, or there was the international community's involvement in achieving our ceasefire, therefore it's reasonable to believe that if the international community plays its role in a similar way, perhaps we'll be able to establish perpetual peace, at least in South Asia.
Obviously, you are going to present in this case to member states in the United Nations. We know this, let's say, this is quite a difficult time, not only for the international community, this is also a very difficult time for the UN. What role do you think UN can play in solving conflicts, given the fact that we're still having so many conflicts in the world?
Of course, the world is having many conflicts, and there's a lot of debate about the role of the UN, and that debate will remain. But it doesn't change the fact that under international law, it is an institution that has a very important role to play. And given the significance of the issue of Kashmir in this entire dispute, and that being an unfinished agenda of the United Nations, it made the United Nations an important starting point. How effective the United Nations would be is another question, but is obviously a forum that Pakistan must engage with, and I believe the UN Secretary General played an important role during this conflict, and the United Nations is an important platform for Pakistan to engage with.
Thank you, Mr. Bhutto.